All right. Time for b4. a5 will play b5. Now, a4 and takes, to me, does not really look as good as c4 and takes. What to do? We could also just play here and maybe take back with the bishop. That looks pretty good as well. Yeah, I think I'll play a4, but not to take with this pawn, actually to take with the bishop. So let's do that. Bishop here, castle. Now, the question is, do we want to play c4? I still think this will be a very decent move. We just have more space, so we have to have a pretty good position. But I'll start with this. And perhaps now is the c4 moment. Knight c3, queen b3, rook c1, rook d1. These are the moves that we're looking to play. Okay, let's take out this knight. Knight here or knight d2. I think knight c3 is fine. We know what moves we want to play. These pieces just, I mean, they just cannot be as good as mine. There's no way. I think we can take this. Also, queen e2 or queen b3. But this pawn is backwards, which is, I think, the main reason that I like this position. I'll try to take with the queen here. If I take with the pawn, I feel like we're handing an outside pass pawn, protected pass pawn to my opponent. So try to avoid that. Let's take the center while we can. Okay. Well, that's a full free piece for me. You'll notice this imbalance is relatively common, where black has the two queenside pawns against one, and we sort of have the extra center pawn. I feel like at its core, that imbalance favors white, which is why I kind of like this position that we get from the b4 opening. GG. When attacked, we push. You rarely are going to see me ever take or anything like that. And we pretty much always go for the same exact moves. Perhaps the order differs slightly, but only slightly. It's always d4, c4, a4 when we play b5, knight c3, queen b3 very often, and e4 once we have established that we have the extra pawn in the middle. If we can play e4, we will. Okay. Everyone is going to become more and more familiar with this flag. All right, e6. We need to save this pawn. c6 looking to take. I think we'll go with a4 here. This move does not actually do very much. Let's just continue developing. Take, or, you know, is it worth playing knight a3 in any capacity? I don't think so. Bishop d7. This knight is going to have a hard time developing. Knight a4 is an idea as well. Queen b3. And we're basically just making a move we would normally play. And if black castles, we're already winning with bishop a3. It has been a pretty good opening so far. But this knight is trapped. The bishop on d7 is no good as well. It really is not a good position. Go after this. We have queen c3 as a potential move as well. Knight d6. So I think knight d6 is good. I also find myself liking this move. We can assume that f5 wants to get played next. Knight d6 is the threat here. Queen g2, we always have rook to g1, at least for now. I like g4, cannot be taken because of the queen, or so I thought. f5 we can take there. Okay, what is the what's the quickest path forward here? It might be just this. Let's try to take queen c3, use the dark squares to our advantage, and if f5, then we'll just return. Check. My opponent's trying to develop here. Okay, getting out of the danger. Let's go for this check. Okay, just want to see what's happening. Little check, little check. Now let's lift the rook and in come the heavy hitters here. Rook h4. Surely there's going to be a checkmate coming up here somewhere. Let's go for this check. Let's go for this check. Yeah, and you can see having the king, checkmated pretty much all the way on the other side of the board is relatively satisfying. Let's give a check here. And I wonder what the most satisfying is. Is it perhaps queen e5? No, we're going for it all here. Giving up the queen, knowing that we're only going to close the tight space here. GG. Checkmating the black king on my own h1 square. It's just, there's something that just feels right about that. Just feels correct. He really went for a jog here, but let's not let the opening get away from us. Why is b4 so powerful? You stick this pawn on b5 and nobody knows what to do. They don't know how to develop. If they play knight d7, they're worried about that bishop. They play bishop d7, they're worried about that knight. They've trapped the bishop with e6. So I feel like this one pawn really throws people off. We still go for our same ideas. c4, knight c3, castle, queen b3. These are all standard. Here, bishop a3 is just because in this position happens to win material. don't do it. Don't do it. You're 1400. You can't be playing knight b4. Oh no. Plays queen e7. f6. We'll take a step back. Here, I think we'll do the exact same. We're ready to recapture. And queen b4 just doesn't really do anything. No, he can play it, but as I said, it doesn't really do anything. Bishop a3 might be a good move. We can take on f8 there. And of course, we got this bishop from f1 that our opponent is going to completely forget about. Come on. It's too easy. How many times have we won something on the b5 square? That's true. The bishop's on its starting square. I did nothing. I did nothing tricky here. I'm just getting a nice quick KO. It's also, a lot of people play the move knight here and lose the knight. They realize they can't go in the center, so at least knight b8 was a good sign, but blundering e5, blundering the queen on b5, this guy fell for just about every trick we got. All right, b4, we got bishop b2 next. Hitting the center pawn, even though that pawn's attacked. c4 pretty quick. We got knight c3, we got knight f3. And of course, the bishop from f1 is guarding that pawn. Tough to play d5 because the pawn is hanging. Now, as soon as I see this, I'm always just a little bit more interested in knight g5. But for now, I'll castle. See what black wants to do. We have nice space over here. a5, we might play b5 here. Okay, a6. Nothing too crazy. We can play a4. Don't really mind a4. As I've been mentioning, knight g5 is very tempting. And so is our classic move, queen b3, which we definitely love, but perhaps we love it less with b5 on the table. So let's just play a4 since I don't really know what else to do. So we'll just go ahead and play that one. This move I really don't get. d4 becomes extremely tempting, as does h3. Well, let's go for all the above. The reason I'm going to start with this is because black can't play e4, so perhaps it's a good time to do it. Goes for f5. Maybe we could pry everything open. Yeah, f5 is well timed, but it actually might be a little weird after knight g5. So wow, I gotta say, not going back here and instead going to h6, that is a good move. That's the kind of stuff you're looking for. I think we just go all in here. d5, e4, and I know it looks scary, but I feel like with knight h2 and such good control of the light squares that I never feel too bad about this. So let's see how it plays out. Playing this one so that we can try to go for c5. And I think we'll just go straight for it because you don't really want to, usually you don't want to give up the e-pawn. So that feels like a pretty good trade for us. As black, I think you'd want to remain a bit more solid there. This helps the knight get back in the game. So instead I'll retreat and threaten e5. Black's probably going to play rook e8 or queen e7. f3 we have covered by our bishop. Rook e1 think would be a good next move. It's all about pushing e5 here, which is definitely a little bit difficult to achieve. Okay, we're definitely going to take that. We've got some, perhaps knight e2. Lots of material headed our way. Knights hanging, pawns hanging. Yeah, you just don't have that blockade on e5 there. So our counterplay with c5 was all that was needed. Ready to take here, and then probably take on g7. We have knight e6. Hitting the bishop, and we've got two rooks coming into the middle, which should be enough. Kind of turns into like a little bit of a King's Indian, sort of. I'll give my opponent some credit for knight h6. I like that move. I thought the guy was going to play knight f6 and we'd play knight g5, but no, knight h6, a great move. Who knows if it was intentional? But yeah, we basically have such a head start on queenside play that I never feel too bad about this. c5. I know that we're very close to, for example, doing this or playing c6. Like, we're going to get our counterplay first. It takes a while for black to play this. And even if it happens, knight h2 appears to keep everything very well defended. So I wasn't that nervous about any kind of kingside attack. Also, the knight's in the way of the h-pawn. It also can't move. So there are many things that are not ideal about black's position. b4, bishop b2, knight f3. Okay, so most of the time I feel like when we see stuff like this, it heavily involves this queen moving over and, you know, all this sort of stuff, but it's just not really that effective. So let's see. I suspect black's trying to do this. Really what happens is black plays bishop here, queen here, so that there's no knight h4, and then kind of goes from there. c6, really typical looking move here. I think d4 makes sense. You want to get after the center. Okay, I think we'll just take it. Interesting. Let's move the knight out of the way, prepare perhaps bishop d3, which I think should be played now. And of course, a3 could be good to stop that. Knight takes f5. This looks like it may just win the game. Let's have a think here, though. There is knight h4. So perhaps g4. And even though we allow knight takes b4, it's kind of irrelevant. We'll kick that piece out and maybe get quick g5 in there. Takes. This could actually work out. Let's bring the queen. Yeah, taking is more resourceful than we'd like to see. Long castle and h5 has to lead somewhere, especially with knight e4 coming. I think we might be in the territory of long castling. I think we are at this point. We have h5. And this is going to be very difficult to survive. Okay, I changed my very difficult to impossible after this. I mean, that's a whole queen. But what do you expect? You're 1500 playing queen f6, queen g6. You got to put these guys in the dirt every single time. You simply cannot be 1500 playing chess like that. You hate to see that every single time. It's the most satisfying to win against these types of opponents. You know, going for cheap tricks, I think, with bishop h3 and castle. But fortunately, the way we play this opening, we're not really affected by that. We'll go d4, and I guess black's best move would probably be knight f6 or f5. Like, we need to see moves like that. b5 is another one we could do. And of course, we're holding off on playing this because at the moment it's hanging. All right, b4, bishop b2. We're gonna take this pawn. Of course, this pawn can be taken on b4, but that's part of the opening. We get the center pawn, we lose this pawn over here. Bishop e2, castle. He's gonna go for a quick d5. Don't think we're too bothered. We could take, we also don't need to do anything, but with the potential of d4, I find myself more and more interested in capturing. So let's take a3 is useful to cover that square, so let's do this. You can get castle, knight b6. I think we'll head back to e2. There we go. Always start with something like h3. Now, bishop e2 to break the pin looks pretty good. We could also play knight c3. Or we could allow bishop takes f3 and perhaps play d4. I definitely don't see anything wrong with that. The safest, maybe the most consistent, is perhaps bishop e2, but yeah, there's definitely something about d4, just playing with the bishops there, that somehow feels a bit safe. And I don't really mind this in general, but especially not if the queens are off. Queen e8. Kind of a weird move. I suppose we'll take. Okay. This one, it might get me into some trouble, but it really feels like any time you have the opportunity to double those pawns, you should take it. So I will stick by those words. So bishop g6 looks good here. Well, that's probably going to be the end of the game. You can't just blunder a piece, but of course, that's the worst piece to blunder because it was kind of the most aggressive one. Take here. And this knight, at the moment, cannot develop, so I have a little bit of work to do. I'm going to go here, perhaps setting up bishop d3. f6. Our bishop can station itself pretty nicely here. And then the last thing we need to do is some sort of development like that. Take. He has f6, so I'd actually rather just trade the queens here. I know it feels funny, we can't develop our knight, but it doesn't really matter. We're not going to risk anything in this game. We have an extra piece, so I'm not really concerned. c7 is here. That move does not look like it does too much. Actually, here we can, probably move the rook instead. And that will be too much material. GG. B4 strikes again. Oh, a much better game from black here. More open, but still. Bishop's aimed in the right direction. I found the bishop on a5 a little bit odd. But it really came down to this. You know, bishop g6. We're still very much playing the game here. I don't think this is obvious or easy, but of course I think white has an advantage with those doubled pawns on the f-file. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of another episode of the 1b4 speedrun. I hope you found this as tricky and successful as I did in the series. And remember to subscribe to the chessbrah YouTube channel if you're not already, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss when we drop our next upload.